Good morning. It's Monday, and I'm Nancy Joy. Today's quote came from Eleanor Roosevelt, actually, and she said, "Do one thing every day that scares you." Actually, I was looking for cards for a friend's birthday, and I came upon this one, and it wouldn't leave me alone. You know, normally I'm one to jump in. I jump in a lot. I'm a person that'll act to get rid of my fear. I'd rather jump in, jump through, and worry about what's crashing on down around me than others who maybe jump around the edge. Should I, shouldn't I, put in a toe, take it out, put it in, take it out. They have all their drama up at that end. I have all my drama afterwards usually. But there are still, as I got still on this, as I really thought about this, things that scare me that I resist. And most of them have to do with telling someone I'm really close to what I'm feeling, what it is that I want to do when I know that this is going to trigger them and start an argument or whatever. And we do this because we're afraid we're going to lose their love. But actually, whose love we're losing when we resist something like this is our own, because we aren't being true to ourselves. So as I sat on this, I thought, what a great thing. I'm going to stick this up right at my desk to encourage me every day to step into things that I'm scared of. And let me talk about this in a how-to way. I'll give you an example. There are times when my sons are grown, have children, but I pretty much stay out of their way they raise their kids and the things they do. However, there's times when I'm really feeling I need to speak up, but I'm going to be stepping in that old mom role, and I'm going to face rejection and anger. And what I've started doing a while back is called a letter to my son. And when I really want to say something that I'm not quite sure at the time that I'm ready to say, I write it in a letter. And whenever my sons get a letter to my son from mom, it's always interesting. And in there I share from my heart what I really feel and encourage them to do what it is they need to do, but that I wanted to share. And most of the time, almost really all the time, I get such positive reactions to those letters to my son. So that's one way that I have learned to step into some of my fears. Sometimes life presents you with something you don't even know that you're afraid of. On a recent trip to Peru, an opportunity opened to me through my roommate. And, I wasn't sure. I didn't know. I felt uncomfortable. I was scared. She was encouraging me to make the shift. And finally, when I surrendered and opened to the shift, really it was quite life-changing. So that's something I didn't even know that I had any resistance or fear in that. It wasn't up front in my consciousness like some things. And then, you take a lot on these spiritual journeys that I do, especially in Peru. We do a lot of initiations with nature. Fire walks. Wow. There's hardly an experience I can think of than when you consciously decide that you can walk over red-hot coals and be just fine. Whoa, how empowering. And I see it over and over again. And the first time I did it was such a tremendous high and such a breakthrough. And you can take this. I have a dear friend who's terrified of needles. I have two of them, actually. And one of them had to go to get a vaccination for papers she needed to go on a trip. And she didn't want to do it, but she stepped into it. And I got the greatest email from her. She said, it was great. I did it. See how empowering it is to step into these fears instead of continue with them and let them control you. So whether it's something on a physical level or an emotional level, those of you who have read my book, The Wounded Heart, know that, and it's a true story, happened to me and one of my children, but in the book it's Rose and her daughter, and she actually told her daughter, because it was getting to be such an abusive relationship, emotionally difficult for her, that she finally told her daughter, I'm not going to have a relationship with you again until you want to sit down with a counselor and work it through. Wow, is that facing a big fear, but so powerful. So I think we're all being called on right now to step into our fears, the subconscious fears and the conscious fears. And how do you know you have a subconscious fear? Well, it'll come up and meet you. It'll present itself. So this Monday morning, just make a start. Start with one thing that you can think of right off the bat. Doesn't have to be a major one that you're afraid of. And before the end of the day, step into it. Feel that lift. It's soaring. It's power. It's freedom. One of the initiations that we do in Peru is way up high in Machu Picchu. We go out on a teeny, tiny, tiny little ledge that's hundreds of feet above the ground. And, on the tippy edge, spread your arms out and fly. Everybody has different degrees of fear with that, how far they can get, but everybody is empowered by that. This is going to be the initiation of the hummingbird coming up in this January 2010 trip to Peru. So there's plenty of opportunities right in your own backyard to step into things that scare you. And so let's make this about really starting to think about them, really consciously stepping into them and enjoying that lift, that surge of energy, that power that comes from that. So I hope this transforms you like it did me when I read it, and that you have a lot of fun using it, because it is fun stepping into your fears. Once you get going, it's actually fun. So have a great week, have a great Monday, and I'll be back with you next week.